Hello and welcome to another episode of All Elite Arcade. As you can see, we're both in the same room. It must be a pay-per-view weekend.
Yes, one of my favorite episodes we do when we're in person.
Yeah, honestly, the energy is so different when this happens. Actually, not to get right into other stuff that's not video games, but staying in this hotel, we're in Newark. This is a full gear pay-per-view. We're in beautiful New Jersey. I need to know this. Did you get in late yesterday?
I did. I got in late last night.
I got in during the evening, and every 5 minutes I could hear AJ and Big Justice yell boom because they were doing a meet and greet downstairs. So I was watching a bunch of movies last night. I'm watching Whiplash. They're doing this big drum solo, and at one point they hit like the cymbal and it goes to a silence, and I just hear the entirety of outside go boom. It was
there's booming everywhere.
There's a lot of booming going on. There's a lot of booming going on.
And I haven't even started booming yet.
It's true. It's true. There's a thing there. I think. Yeah, there's a thing there. I actually also thought we should have brought the Rizzler in to talk about the video games, but you know what? Some other time. His fee is probably ridiculous. True. Video games. I don't know about you. I played a lot of mobile stuff this week.
Yeah.
We've been traveling a whole lot. I've been on the road this week.
It's been a busy week. Yeah.
It's been a busy week. We did Reading, Pennsylvania. I went to Calgary. I came back here to Newark. So I've just been playing a lot of phone games. And we'll start off with, once again, Pokemon trading card game.
Of course.
I played a lot of it.
Me too.
And I'm now at a part where we were flirting with the idea of getting the premium pass. I got the premium pass.
Oh, please. How is it? How is it on the other side?
So truthfully, I don't think it's that worth it.
Oh, okay.
At this moment, I think as it evolves, maybe it'll be more. But at this moment, you have a 2-week free trial. So I suggest you get it anyways because you can cancel it anytime.
Right.
And the cancellation is fairly easy. You just click a button, it's canceled. So it's not like a big arduous process. But
you don't have to write a letter into.
No, not at all. So like the main thing you get is you get 1 extra pack per day to unpack. You get a whole separate tree on the shop where you can get. There's a unique card in there, a unique, I believe, Pikachu.
That's
on there.
I keep looking at it from a distance.
Yes.
I keep.
So you get that. There's emblems. There's like the card binder stuff. There's a sheet over top, and then there's like icons for your username
and like coins for the battles.
Yes,
and stuff
exactly.
Too, right? Yeah,
and you'll get extra missions. So that as you complete those, you'll get XP, but you'll also get these different currencies to buy stuff. Okay. It's fun.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It is the extra pack alone to me is what made it interesting because
100%.
All I care about is just hopefully getting a new EX card.
Yeah.
Like I'm now at that point now where I don't get a lot of new cards, and now every time I get one, it feels like the greatest rush of all time.
Can I tell you what I'm in the middle of as far as the Pokemon trading card game? I am so into this that I'm now getting superstitious about the way that I
do you open them?
Packs.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I was gonna say, when you open a pack, do you swipe around?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
What's your process?
I literally, on purpose, this is gonna sound ridiculous, but it's worked. Like for the past 3 packs, I've gotten either a 1-star card, some sort of shiny or hollow card. But I, on purpose, I go back and forth between Mewtwo, Charizard, Pikachu every time.
Yes.
Every time.
Switch it up.
And then when I open it, I will spin it as fast as I can. And there's a certain part of the song that's playing where I stop. So like I listen for this one beat in the song that I stop. Now I've started a thing too, where when you pick the card and it tells you how to open the pack, I let it run through one time, and then as it starts on the second time, I open it.
Okay.
It's so ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So I have a similar process. I used to just open the first pack every time because I was like, this random doesn't do anything. And then I had like a series of like 7 packs I didn't get anything. So I started doing a big spin.
Oh yeah.
You know, like this is the Price is Right.
Yeah.
And then I end up opening. But one thing that I do, I think that might be different from you, is when you get your cards, you actually have a few options. You can have them upside down when you open your pack, and so you have no idea it flips over every time, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
But even better, what I like is when you have your pack and they're front facing, you can just tilt it sideways, and it'll tell you if that last card is a like EX or a.
Yep. Every time.
Oh my god.
I
get more excited for that, I think, than opening a card.
Oh, for sure. It's like, what could it be? I also do the thing where before I open the pack, I flip it to show the back of the pack.
Yes.
And then flip it back forward, open it in the front, and then, like you said, I immediately check the sides to see if I got some sort of hollow.
If they drop like new expansion passes, because they will, but like within the next month, I may never stop playing this game. I'm at the cusp now where I've done every mission with the exception of 220 unique Pokemon. I have 204.
Wow.
Yeah, which makes it that every 5-6 packs I get one new card.
Yeah. I think I'm at 185.
Okay.
New. I mean, I have over 400 cards.
And we've been very lucky because we have a chain of a text between myself, you, and Cutler.
Yes.
And in the same day, you were like, I can't believe it. I got this EX. Was it Pikachu or Mewtwo?
No, it was Mewtwo. It was the Crown Gold Mewtwo.
And then a minute after we had that text, I open a pack. I get the exact same thing.
Couldn't believe it.
And the Cutler got a Crown Pikachu as well. So like, we're doing fantastic. I'll be honest. Those are some of the hardest ones. And then I just recently saw one. Have you gotten the animated cards yet? Where when you get it, it's an even rarer card. It's not a Crown card. I saw this on the Pikachu one. It goes to Pikachu, but then instead of just doing the card, it zooms in and it goes through the entire scenery, and there's a bunch of other Pokemon in action, and then it goes back to show you Pikachu and then zooms out.
What are these cards?
Yeah, so they have like these crazy animated cards. I don't know how many of them there are, but I've only seen one. And then I also saw, this was I'm so involved in this now that I started tweeting about it, I started talking to people about it. I have a ton of friends on this. Shout out Josh as well. But you can get an only rare pack. Like, you can open a pack and all 5 of them are rare cards.
Oh, so the best I've done is I've only gotten 2. You can pick a pack
that gets all 5.
All 5 are rare cards.
Yeah, so like if you look in your deck, there's like an offering rates that shows you the percentage.
Yes.
But it shows you, it's actually like, it's a percentage of what type of pack, and then within each pack what it could be.
Yeah.
And there's an ultra rare pack that has nothing but rares in it.
Oh my!
And that's like a 0.059% thing.
Right.
So it's like a 1 in 1,000 essentially, or 1 in 2,000. So yeah, we've talked a lot about it already. I'm very addicted.
I'm in deep, guys.
I'm still no good at the fighting portion.
Same. Seriously, like I'm still trying to teach myself with like the beginner ones and the intermediate ones, but no, I still have a long ways to go when it comes to the battling.
Yeah, same. I one of my other missions I have to finish is like beat 10 people in versus, and I think I'm 50 games in. I've won 5.
Yeah.
So
that's more wins than me.
There you go. Well, maybe I'll get there. I think I have 2 days to complete it. I don't think we'll get there.
Oh, okay.
I would have to completely ignore my obligations for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm also playing mobile. We're going to talk about Balatro later on.
Mm-hmm.
But the news of Balatro that we are going to talk about later on has reignited my passion to potentially go back into Balatro.
Yeah.
And I played. So I had a nightmare travel day on Thursday where I was already supposed to have a 7-hour travel day, and I ended up sitting on tarmac. It was the first snow ever in Chicago of the year. And so I ended up sitting on tarmac for 3 hours. They unplaned me, and then I waited another 3.5 hours, and then it was a 4.5-hour flight over to Calgary. So
travel can be brutal.
It's horrendous, but I got so much Balatro in there.
Nice.
Oh my god! I'm at the. I almost have every Joker unlocked on my phone. This is my third run of a Balatro now. I have it on 2 consoles. Or I have it on PC, I have it on console, and now I have it on my mobile. But my mobile, I'm almost, I wouldn't say complete because there are several notches of difficulty that I have to get through.
Yeah.
But as far as like getting all the cards, which is my fixation on all card games, I'm so close. That game rules. The DLC is supposed to be in the first quarter of next year. I'm very excited, and very excited that it's getting all kinds of great stuff. Other than that, I'm back to I'm still playing the same stuff. Vampire Survivors, I put a little more into that. I've been jumping in the Among Us DLC that I didn't play a whole lot of. And then Witcher 3, I'm also playing as well. Okay. I would like to talk a lot more, but I think I only got to play about 90 minutes this week because I was traveling. But I just did a main mission that I'm realizing I might have done a separate mission that has the same thing. So in a main mission, they're talking about how you find a character is by following a little girl that follows a bunch of candy in the forest. And I already did that in a side mission without finding the end of it. And so I'm wondering if I was supposed to have that interaction afterwards. And does that influence my game? Anyway, I'm very curious about this game now, even more so because I think on a technical basis, it's an incredible looking game. It plays very smoothly, especially with the expansion and stuff.
Huge, yeah.
But like now mechanically, I'm like, man, how much can really be changed? Because a lot of people have given me indications. They're like, hey, the first person that courts you, don't bother doing it. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And then they're like, be careful what your decisions are. It could really change everything. Now it really, I'm fixated on like what I actually do. Even my interactions. The thing that's cool with The Witcher is like you can be a real polite person, but then sometimes he's a very direct jerk. And like I'm starting to think like I'm so used to being the nice guy in every game. I never do the bad thing. Yeah, and I'm like, should I be a bad guy? Does it have value in this? I'm very excited to explore more. And by next week, hopefully, I get to go back home this weekend. I'll probably put in a good 5-6 hour chunk as well.
And I'm glad you brought that up too, because one of the coolest things about The Witcher, aside from the fact, again, where you can change so much of the main story based on the decisions you make, but so many times it'll be like just the other week I was playing The Witcher, and there was a treasure hunt that I decided to go on to try to get some really, really cool Witcher gear. And halfway through the treasure hunt, it started a completely different side mission.
Yeah.
Like so many of them overlap, which is really, really
cool. And like I'll go in a direction to do a thing, and on the path we'll hit like 4 question marks. But then that question mark will lead to an exclamation mark, and the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I'm simultaneously doing 3 missions. I'm unaware of it. It's very cool. There's a lot of content, and I'm only I'm not far into the game, but I can already see how big this is because when they showed me the overworld map, and I'm only in like a second portion of like how many others, and that portion I'm in is, I wouldn't say as big as Red Dead, but like it's huge.
It's massive.
It's massive, and then and I know there's more, and there's 2 whole DLCs I got to get into. Yep. So very excited. It's gonna take me. I'll probably finish this by mid-year next year.
I'm excited to see or hear more about your journey, though, because again, the first time I played this, I never forgot it. But then, in the sense of too, the game is so massive that as I'm replaying it on Twitch, because that's one of the games that I'm playing, there are so many side quests that I either don't remember or I made a different decision and it changed the way that the game played. There's no way I picked all the same answers or did all the same things in my original playthrough. So it feels incredibly fresh.
It's really cool too. It's a game that I'm really spoiler free with. Everyone's loved, but everyone's experience is so different, and it's so big of a game that most people just haven't like. When you play a 10-hour story game, by week 1, you know what the end of it, because someone on social will tell you. On Witcher, people are just like, hey, just be careful of your decisions. You don't want to do bad ones. But they won't tell me. Like I have no idea where this is going, so I'm very interested to see the completion of the story. I know you're doing the Twitch 5 games.
I'm doing the Twitch 5 games,
of course,
cycle,
including Witcher. What else you got on there?
Yes. So again, I did a little bit more of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a little bit more of the original Silent Hill 2. Once again, The Witcher 3. Also, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I got to play that a little bit yesterday. But again, in addition to Pokemon, the trading card game, I did last night when I got in. I had a few hours by myself in my hotel room, and I said, you know what, I'm going to bring my Nintendo Switch on this trip. And I decided that I was going to jump back into Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Yes.
Which I still have not finished. But yesterday, I actually made some real good progress. I played for about an hour and a half, and I finished the 3rd world. And I'm now entering this desert area, which is in World 4. Again, I do just want to say this again. I know the game's been out for a while, and I know I've talked about it briefly before, but it blows my mind how every single mission has like some new interesting mechanic.
Yeah, they just pack it with stuff. Packed it. You really it's like they made a mechanic and like, how much can we get out of it? Cool. That was your 30-minute chunk. Let's go to the next thing.
Yep.
And they'll pack it all in like 1 or 2 levels. You might come back later and reuse them in like a very challenging run. Yep. But other than that, it's very straight. You go to the next piece, you go to the next piece, you go to the next piece.
Right.
It's an incredible game.
It's awesome. And I do appreciate, I love that Mario games do this. But again, it's fairly easy in the sense of playing through the adventure. But if you want to collect every Wonder Seed, there are some definitely really, really challenging areas. Kind of like how Astro, if you want to collect everything, it's really challenging. But generally, it's pretty breezy to play through. But yeah, Mario Wonder is incredible, especially in the 4th world. What's been really cool is there are so many secret levels to find, secret challenges, secret characters that you can find that weren't in the game up until this point. So it's been really, really fun. Again, collecting all the Wonder Seeds has been a blast. So yeah, I'm hoping to I want to finish Super Mario Bros. Wonder before the end of the year. That's the goal.
I think that's doable. Is very doable. It's not that lengthy. I think within 30 hours you could probably finish it for sure.
And it looks gorgeous, by the way, on the OLED. On the Switch OLED, it looks beautiful.
So that's like your travel game then at this point.
That's been my travel game at this point. Yeah. And I go back and forth. I try to do 1 week, I'll try to bring my Steam Deck to work on Nine Souls, and now I've decided every other week I'll bring my Switch and work away at Mario Bros. Wonder. But yeah, it's a blast. So much fun.
Also, a note on Nine Souls, this just popped in my head. It's coming to Game Pass this week.
Yes.
Yeah. So like we're actively. I haven't gone back into it in a few weeks, but we're actively jumping into it. And now I feel like it's a game that not a lot of people have had their hands on because it's an independent game, and on top of it, a ton of big games came out this year. Yeah. Now's your chance, right before Game of the Year. It's on Game Pass, I believe, at the end of or in the middle of this week when our podcast comes out. Go check it out. Yeah. It is very, very good. And I'm not even deep into it. I'm enjoying it that much.
Oh, same. So. The last time, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the last time I played, I think I got to my first major boss where it was a 2-phase fight. And the first time I attempted it, I have no shame in admitting this. I got absolutely destroyed. Yes. But what's so cool is over time, each attempt, you get a little bit better at the parries and a little bit better at finding the enemy patterns and things like that. And also the parry timing, it's not something where it's you have to press it a little bit before.
Oh, no,
the reaction
yeah.
is exactly like the parry. But very challenging game, but such a cool art style, a wild story so far too. So yeah, it's going to be on Game Pass.
That opening hour has some heartstrings.
It's burned into my memory.
Oh yes, it's very, very cool. Yeah. So do check it out if you get the chance. Anything else you've been on last little bit?
Nope. That's been pretty much it.
Yeah, same for me. I've been playing a lot. I've been watching a lot of movies as well. Nice. None of them video game related. But if you want suggestions, do tweet at me or do go on Blue Sky. That's my new new main.
I got to get on there.
You should. You should. Very peaceful. Very peaceful.
Oh,
place.
That sounds wonderful. Wonderful.
That's it for this week as far as the video games we're playing, but we have a lot of news this week.
News.
We have with the Golden Stick, Golden
Joystick Awards.
Joystick Awards are coming out. They just released the winners. I saw a ton of pictures of it, and then on top of that, we have to talk about our nominees that we picked from last week on the Game of the Year Awards for the Game Awards. All the nominees are out. We're going to talk about that right after this. And we're back. Welcome back to All Elite Arcade, your home for video game discussions here at AEW Games. We have a lot of news this week.
So much.
A lot of games. It's award season. We have to discuss this personally, but we're probably going to do game awards of our own within here. We'll talk about the Game of the Year awards, and maybe on top of that, we'll have our own little we'll do Game of the Year. Maybe we'll do best soundtrack. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. But December, you're gonna see this content right here on All Elite Arcade. But because it is Game Awards season, it is there are a lot of news pieces, including we just had the Golden Joystick Awards 2024 winners. The ceremony just happened. A bunch. If you follow any of the developers, people are going wild. They're just tweeting about the pictures. It looked like it was an incredible time. Yeah. But a lot of awards. And before we'll name every single one. And we'll discuss real quickly. But before that, I'll give you a general picture. As far as the awards went, it would seem Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Helldivers 2 by far won the most. Yeah. Which I'm not surprised at all, because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be on my list for sure.
Absolutely.
I don't know where it will rank, but to a lot of people, it had best soundtrack. To a lot of people, it had best story. Some people, it was Game of the Year, and so on and so forth. Helldivers 2, as well, came out of nowhere for a lot of us. Super surprising multiplayer game, especially when you consider how small of a team that made it. Yeah. And as far as a game that incrementally adds stuff, they've never stopped. They haven't stopped in the year. They've just been bombarding us with new stuff. In fact, saying it right now, I kind of want to go back. I haven't gone in months. So
yeah, it's so much fun. I'm glad those two games that really got the recognition.
Yes,
they deserve,
yeah,
they do.
And the beautiful thing is that every award ceremony, like this is a Golden Joystick. There's going to be the BAFTAs. There's going to be Game Awards. almost always there's a different game that runs away with more stuff. Yes. And it's interesting because that's cool. That I like that it spreads out. There's so many games, it's so hard to define what the best game is. There are some years, though, that you can straight up tell, like, this is the game.
Yeah.
This year is one of the toughest ones.
I completely agree. And again, I love Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I agree. Like, looking at this list, it's like, ooh, it could have gone to so many different games. It was a tough year.
I have, like, a notepad of what I think my Game of the Year award is, and I want it to fall to 5 games, but it's at 13 right now. I have no idea. I'm like, I don't want to insult a game I like, even though it really doesn't matter to them. Anyways, here we go. It all starts with, and we're gonna do this in least important all the way to the most important, being the ultimate game of the year. That is our last one. Starting off with Best Audio Design went to our boys at Astrobot.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. Not surprising.
No.
Especially with the controller support, it's like it has multi-layer audio on it.
Yeah.
Best Soundtrack, even though I did not know this, I mentioned it, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Well deserved.
Hundreds of hours of soundtrack.
I think 400 original songs in
Crazy.
Rebirth, which is
crazy amount. And a few tearjerkers in there, too. I know we talked about this on previous podcasts, but hearing some of those songs made me realize, like, oh, I didn't know how much this is ingrained in, like, my child brain.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And I want to buy that if I can. I don't know if you can get the release of the full.
I hope they release it. They did that with Remake.
Yes.
And let me tell you, I'll be first in line to buy this.
Yeah, I would actually get a record press of it, but I think 400 hours, that would be like 50 plus records. Right. Best storytelling in a video game, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Incredible.
Again, well deserved.
Best multiplayer game, we teased it a little bit, but Helldivers 2. Honestly, I can't think of any other game that could compete this year.
Yeah.
So not surprising at all. Best visual design, Black Myth Wukong.
Ooh,
it was a very gorgeous game.
Beautiful game.
Best indie game, Balatro. This is what reunited my Balatro love this week. Because a lot of people are like, I can't believe this won. What is this game? And so there's a huge discourse online. And suddenly you're seeing people that were like, I can't believe a poker game won this. And then like 2 hours later, they're like, I played an hour of it. I'll never badmouth a poker
I have
game
heard
again.
that story, and I still need to try Balatro. I still do, but so many people have been like, all right, let's see if this is what it's cracked up to be. And then they're like, oh my God, I can't stop playing this.
It's calling it a poker game is almost reductive because it is more like a roguelike game than anything.
Okay.
Best indie game, but self-published. They made it different. Another Crab's Treasure, which I still have not played.
Ooh,
yes, that's
nice.
the Dark Souls-like, but with crabs.
Right.
You put a little bit of time into it.
I put a little time into it. Yeah, very fun and also very challenging, but really, really charming game.
Best or studio of the year goes to Team Asobi, who made Astrobot. Very well deserved. Best lead performer. That's as far as voice acting. Cody Christian as Cloud from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
He did such a good job.
Yes.
Such a good job.
Yes. A lot of great voice acting in that game.
Oh my God, yeah.
Best supporting performer is Brianna White for Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like I said, Final Fantasy VII really ran away with a lot of stuff.
The voice acting in that, yeah. The whole team just crushed it.
The Breakthrough Award, which is the Critics' Choice, which I don't know what the distinction between that and the Ultimate Game of the Year. I didn't look into how the voting goes, but this is like critics have voted for this one. Balatro ran away with that one.
Oh, nice.
The Still Playing Award, that is the game that is constantly expanded, but be it No Man's Sky, so on and so forth. This one will be of no surprise, but Minecraft won that one on console and PC. And then the Still Playing Award for mobile is a game I've never heard of, but it's called Honkai Star Rail. And because we're mentioning it now, I will probably download it. 100%. Afterwards. Yeah, I'm on a big mobile kick, so I'm probably going to check that out. PC Game of the Year, Satisfactory, which finally came out of early access and is now in its full game release, won that. That's the one where you build a factory in space. I put some time into it. I just don't think I'm a factory building guy. I don't have the brain mechanics to build that, but it seems very interesting for someone who is in tune with that stuff.
Yeah.
Most wanted game for next year. Not a surprise, but Grand Theft Auto 6.
Of course.
Yes. I kind of forget it's coming out sometimes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I can't believe we're so near to it. The Critics' Choice Award. So this is the weird thing. Breakthrough Award and Critics' Choice Award are different. Anyways, Critics' Choice Award, Helldivers 2.
Nice.
Best game expansion. This will not be surprising. Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree. There's a distinction here. So we're going to talk about the Game Awards after this. But in Game Awards, DLCs can be nominated for best game or best so on and so forth. This has its own separate thing. Best gaming hardware: Steam Deck OLED.
Oh, beautiful! It's a beautiful piece of hardware.
I still need to get one.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Best early access game: Lethal Company. Which, cool. That's that multiplayer game. I actually played a fair amount of that game.
I have not played it, but I've watched so much footage on YouTube of people playing it. It looks like a blast.
Yes, it's a lot of fun. So much fun. It's a lot of fun. Very stupid, but a lot of fun. Best game trailer goes to Helldivers 2.
Oh, cool.
I don't really remember it, but
I'm sure it was great.
I'm sure it was great.
Yeah.
The Streamer's Choice Award. This is one that is specifically for people who Twitch stream or Kick or on YouTube stream. The Chained Together game, which we put some time into.
Yes.
I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I was there for support.
Yes, that's right.
But yeah, so blast.
And then best game adaptation for film or TV: Fallout.
Completely agree. Yes. Best video game show. And I loved The Last of Us. I loved The Witcher. But my goodness.
I forgot The Witcher has a TV show.
Yeah.
Ooh, I might watch that now that I understand.
It's great. But the Fallout show is, oh my God, unbelievable.
And then the ultimate game of the year, that is their title for game of the year above everything else, went to Black Myth Wukong, which I think is actually quite surprising, seeing as how many Helldivers and Final Fantasy VII Rebirths were won across the board.
Sure.
But I will say, that game ruled.
I do think Black Myth Wukong across the board is certainly the fan favorite. When you think about everybody in the world who has played this game, I mean, it's really, really cool to see that Black Myth Wukong is getting the respect it deserves. What an unbelievable game. Game Science did an unreal job for their first like AAA game that they ever made. So
I also wouldn't be surprised if it becomes its own IP at this point, because it blew up more than anyone I think anticipated.
Yes.
And I don't know if there is more juice in there to make a second game, but
there's got to be.
There's got to be, right? Just make more animals to fight, and I'll definitely do that. So that was your Golden Joystick Awards 2024 winners. Congratulations to all of the winners, but that's not it. We've got more awards coming up.
Yes.
I believe Game Awards is December 6th.
December 12th.
12th.
Yes.
December 12th, which we're a few weeks away from that, but the nominees have just come out. We may not do nominees for every single one because that may be very long. Yes. But we'll tackle a few of the top nominations and categories. Just so we know, as far as who has the most nominations across the board, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yep.
Unsurprising. It was the same for Golden Joystick. And Astrobot, also not surprising.
Yes.
I'm still unsure what my game of the year is, but I think Astrobot is on the cusp of maybe being it.
Yeah. It'll be really interesting. Again, when I look at this list for the nominees for the Game Awards, again, 10-year anniversary, by the way, so you know it's going to be a big show. Silk Song. But
please,
it's any one of these games. Certainly all the games nominated deserve to be there. That's for sure. That's for sure.
So a quick tidbit too. Last week we made predictions and on the Game of the Year nominees. And I'm going to start with that because we made a prediction. Just so we know, I ran away with it, which I was very surprised.
Yes,
I was very surprised. Your Game of the Year nominees this year for the Game Awards are Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Those were the 5 that I suggested. And then Metaphor Refantasio, which I've not finished, but is a gorgeous game. And a lot of the people who played all the way through it, including Serpentico from the roster, loved it. In that, if I were to vote for one, it may change by next month. I think I would go Astrobot.
Okay. Great choice.
Yeah.
Great choice. When I'm looking here at this list, again, I really do feel like any one of these games deserves to win. It really, really does. However, again, if I were to pick right now, again, I'm going to go with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I just loved that game so much. The storytelling was amazing. So much game in FF7 Rebirth.
Oh, yeah.
So, but again, any one of these games deserve to be here. The interesting thing, though, again, is this drama around Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree being nominated. And I think, so I think here's the best way for me to put it, because I do see both sides. Elden Ring is one of, if not the greatest video games ever made. And Elden Ring deserves its flowers all the time.
Yes.
I think this Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is the size of a full game. And it's, again, one of the best DLCs that I've ever played. But again, the interesting thing, and I see it on the other side, is if you go on a digital store and you buy Shadow of the Erdtree, you can't play Shadow of the Erdtree. You have to play Elden Ring,
of course, which
is an older game. You have to get obviously very far into Elden Ring. So it is interesting where some people are saying like, oh, that should have been taken out, and maybe Silent Hill 2 remake should have been in there. But then there's the drama of adding remakes into games, into the Game of the Year nominee list as well. So I don't know. To me, Shadow of the Erdtree is incredible, and I do think it deserves to be recognized. But I do understand why people feel like maybe it should not be in the Game of the Year nomination, or instead is like Best Expansion or something like that, similar to what.
And we had a similar discussion last year too, because RE4 had won, and a lot of people were like, remakes should not be in this. They're just retoolings of previous games. It should be only new IPs and stuff, which I disagree with. I think. If a team is spending 4 years to build a game, that's a game.
Absolutely, that's a game.
And including the DLC, I think DLC should be put for Game of the Year awards. If you separate it to a different award, I understand that. That's fine. But if you're not, then I think it can be for Game of the Year awards, because Elden Ring's DLC is bigger than most games.
It's huge.
On its own, it's bigger than... I'm trying to think of a game I played that was under like 12 hours. That took me 50 plus hours.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of DLCs that are that lengthy and that girthy with so much content in it. And I think on that alone, like, that's a full game of its own.
The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is the size of a Dark Souls game.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's huge. Absolutely
massive. It's bigger than Silent Hill 2 Remake, to give you an idea.
Yeah.
And that was not nominated, and that was a lot of people were mad about that as well.
I know. Yeah. I had my fingers crossed. I was hoping Silent Hill 2 Remake was going to be there, but it was nominated for a bunch of other awards.
And it was a very strong year. So other than that, we have a ton of different categories, but I'm going to pick a few other ones here, including Best Score in Music. Here are the 5 nominees for Best Score in Music. You've got Astrobot. Very good. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Of course.
Yes.
Metaphor Refantasio. I haven't heard a ton of the songs now. That I'm only 10 hours in, but it is very good.
I gotta play this game, by the way.
It's good. I think you would like it. It's definitely up your alley. Silent Hill 2. And Stellar Blade, which I did not play.
Oh, I only played the demo of Stellar Blade.
Yes, me too.
But I hear the music is amazing. Oh my god, I still have to play Stellar Blade. My backlog is unbelievable.
Yeah, I keep telling myself I'm going to beat everything I need to before the end of the year, and I just don't think I will. If I had to make a vote, I would say FF7 Rebirth.
Yeah, me too.
Yes,
me too.
Like I said, I've cried to some of the songs in that, and that alone, I think, is worth my vote.
And Uno, just very quickly, going off of what you said, as far as like being so emotionally invested in the music, I know I brought this up before, but I just want to bring it up again. Their transitions with blending songs into like battle songs is the best I've ever seen before in a game. So yeah, FF7 Rebirth does deserve, I think, best soundtrack, but a lot of other great ones.
Best independent game. Here are your 5 nominees. There's also a best debut indie game. We'll keep that for when they announce it. It is slightly different, but a lot of the same parties in both. Animal Well, Balatro. There's plumbing issues going on over there. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, which I've never played, and UFO 50. This is actually the hardest one for me to vote.
I was going to say, what would you pick here?
So I don't know. So like Balatro is the one I've put the most time into, and Animal Well I think is an incredible. It's so cool. But also UFO 50 has 50 freaking games in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I kind of want to give it to UFO 50 because I don't feel like it's going to get its due anywhere else. Yeah. But also, then I'm not giving anything to Balatro or Animal Well. It's a very hard one. But I think I would give it to UFO 50.
Cool.
Yeah.
I still, that's another one that I need to play and download immediately, because just a little bit that I've seen and the little bit that I've heard from you seems incredible. 50 games, 50 original games. Unreal.
Best mobile game, because we've been really into it recently. AFK Journey, Balatro, there it is again. Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket. Once again, this is going to suck for me. Wuthering Waves, which I have no idea what that is. And then Zenless Zone Zero, which I thought was a console game, but I guess it is also accessible on mobile game. I'm going to have to go Pokemon.
I have to go Pokemon.
I have to go Pokemon. I'm really addicted to Balatro.
Yeah.
But I've not put extra money into Balatro. And I have done that for Pokemon. It's only been out for 3 weeks.
It's unreal.
It's been dominating. Like, not that I don't talk to a lot of my friends, but all of my friends have contacted me. We've talked nothing but Pokemon in the last few weeks.
I haven't been this into a mobile game in a very long time. Like, where I genuinely, I know we say it every week, but I wake up, it's the first thing I do. Before I go to bed, it's the last thing I do.
Yeah. I woke up this morning, and then when I still had 4 hours to wait for a pack, it made me really sad, but then it made me realize, oh yeah, I was up really late playing Pokemon last night. No wonder I couldn't do it. And then I will pick one last one here. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go with...
So many choices.
Let's go with best adaptation, because there's been a lot of movies and stuff this year.
Yeah.
We've got Arcane. Not a part of the League of Legends world, but every time they play the trailer on Netflix, I'm like, this seems like it's really good.
So same. I have not played League of Legends for a long time. I enjoyed it. But literally, people who haven't played League watch that show and say it's one of their favorite shows. Yes. So it sounds like an amazing standalone show.
Fallout, unsurprisingly, probably the best video game show according to yourself. Yep. And many of the people I've talked to still have not watched it.
So
Knuckles, which I forgot came out this year. I didn't watch that one. I like the first 2 Sonic movies though. Like a Dragon Yakuza, which I have not watched, but I've heard real bad things about. Yeah. Okay. As a Yakuza fan, my friends are like, "Hey, it's really sad what they've done."
That's a shame.
But I think because of that, I'm still going to try and see it. And then I didn't know this came out. Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft.
I have not seen that yet either.
What is it? Is it an animated movie?
I'm pretty sure it's an animated series.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea that came out, but I will likely look into that. I think Fallout has to win this one.
I think so too. I really, really do. And again, Arcane is an unbelievable show, but the Fallout show is just next level.
I also wouldn't be surprised if Arcane won it, because League of Legends has an insane fan base.
Also very true.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then a final one. Let's do a best multiplayer game. We have Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which has been very good. I'm playing a lot of... Actually, I didn't talk about it early. I play a lot of Zombies.
It's amazing.
Zombies is really good. I'm no good at it, but I'm playing a lot of it. Helldivers 2, unsurprising. Yeah. Super Mario Party Jamboree, which we had just talked about.
Yes, it's a blast. It's a blast.
Some say maybe the best Mario Party to ever come out.
Yeah.
Tekken 8.
Nice.
Which in our backstage is a huge hit. MXM and Ricochet every week are playing it. And Helico gets schooled every single week and gets real mad. And then Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2.
Great game.
Really good game.
Yeah.
I did end up playing a couple hours of it. It's actually stunning. Like, visually, it is very nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think I probably Helldivers 2 would have to do.
That's what I would go with as well.
Yeah. If I were to jump into one right now, that would be it.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of other nominations. You can go online, go to the Game Awards nominations. You can find out and let us know down below what you think will win the Game Awards Game of the Year. Put it in our comments, youtube.com/AEW Games. That is where you can find our video format of this podcast.
And of course, when the time comes, we will discuss the winners after the 10-year anniversary of the Game
and
Awards.
you will. And if you did not know, go to the Chugs' Twitch. He's going to likely be live streaming it.
Definitely.
Yeah, go hang out. That's the best. I honestly... If I'm not Twitch streaming it, I watch someone do it, and if I'm not doing that, I'm in a text chain with someone being like, "Can you believe this is happening?"
Oh, it's they're some of my favorite streams to do.
Yes, watching award ceremonies, and especially when they're also simultaneously dropping trailers. One of my favorite experiences ever was the E3 where Sony announced that Final Fantasy VII was coming back, and Shenmue and all this stuff. Like, that 1 hour was one of the happiest hours of my life. So
I still go back and watch that sometimes.
It's
just for the reaction.
Really good. Yeah. And especially when you watch other people watch it simultaneously, the excitement is palpable when you watch it. But that is it for the Game Awards nominees. Make sure you go out of your way and check those out wherever you may. It's available. Go Google it, but it's also on IGN and so on and so forth. We have a quick few little bits of news as well. Stalker 2, which both of us were planning on playing, has just come out. It is on Game Pass. We will probably both put some time into it. But it is a success beyond Game Pass because it's already sold over 1 million copies.
That's great news.
Yeah, and that's it came out 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Which is what we were recording this on Saturday. That's insane. Very good for them. I have not played it yet.
Same.
So I cannot put any opinion on it, but I'm very excited for them, especially for Xbox. It looks like Xbox is slowly pulling themselves out of where the hole they've been in.
They're ending the year strong between Stalker 2 and then Indiana Jones coming out in December. So it's a good way to go into 2025.
For sure. And then another Xbox thing is Xbox is finally also going to let you cloud stream games you own. So previously on Game Pass Ultimate, if you were a subscriber, you had a series of games that you could cloud stream. So you didn't have to download to a console. I never had considered this before, but just recently, because I now also live in America and my internet is not, it has a cap.
Yeah.
And in one day, I decided to download like 7 Game Pass games, and I exceeded my cap already. And so had I cloud streamed these, I wouldn't have my current issue, but whatever. What I'm getting at here is that originally there was a list of about 50 games that you could stream. Now, that is no longer the case. They will let you stream video games that you own. So if you have them in your library, but you don't have them downloaded, it doesn't matter. Their cloud storage will allow you to stream them through or give you access to whatever it is in the cloud that lets you play it.
That's great.
I think that's really exciting because we talked about this before. I think that is going to be the future of game.
Yeah.
Is when we all have our little handheld consoles, but we can play any game at any place, anytime. And then on top of that, it allows people that have, who have laptops only or TVs only or tablets only to start playing the whole library of Xbox.
Right.
So it's very, very exciting. And I also know that Valve is looking into more streaming stuff. You could do that on Valve. And I'm sure it's going to start dictating what Sony will do in the future as well.
Absolutely.
But it would seem at the very moment, Xbox is in the lead about this. And so very excited to see the future of all of this as well. Yeah. And then one last one I want to talk about. Did you see this Winnie the Pooh video game that's exploded, or Piglet video game that's exploded in the last week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a game that came out 21 years ago. It is called Disney's Piglet's Big Game, based on Piglet's Big Game, which I guess was a movie, which I did not see. But people are going out of their way and going online to the online markets, and it is almost impossible to buy one now because I don't know who the user is that dropped this, but they dropped a scene from it, and they pretty much made a Silent Hill game with Piglet in it. And so this obscure game has sold out online, and it is like, it's a Silent Hill and Resident Evil game for kids.
Right. I can't believe you brought this up because I just watched on YouTube someone play through this game. It was a content creator that I follow. And I won't say anything for anyone who wants to experience it themselves. But like the ending scene is legit horrifying. Like it's and then it just ends. And then it's so creepy. So creepy. I think it's hilarious that it's exploded now.
Yeah, and so a lot of people are calling like baby's first Resident Evil or Silent Hill game. And so go check that content out because it is super.
Watch it for yourself.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that someone over at Disney was like, you know what? F it. Let's just make Resident Evil with Winnie the Pooh.
Let's do it.
A great concept. I'll be honest. That's the game. That's the game news for this week. Are you going to be checking out this Piglet game? Let us know down below. But that's not all. We're going to be going in our third segment, our favorite one, always brought to you by Upper Deck, and it's right after this. And we're back. Welcome back. It is time for our community mailbag. That's right. Our favorite segment of the show. We love it every time. It's brought to you by our friends at Upper Deck. Thank you, Upper Deck, for sponsoring our episodes here at All Elite Arcade and bringing to you the community mailbag. You can get the community mailbag. Go to YouTube. What am I talking about? Go to tbs.com/arcade mailbag, and you can get your questions read right here. Now, also, for Upper Deck, so you know, you can collect all your favorite pro wrestlers in the 2024 Upper Deck AEW pack, and you can start your trading card collection right now, today. All you can do is go to upperdeck.com to learn more. You can unwrap autographed memorabilia, and premium tech inserts all on your AEW cards. And there's also other cards out there.
Yes.
If you're into sports, there's a whole plethora of stuff out there. UpperDeck.com for you to get those packs. Thank you to Upper Deck again.
Yes, thank you.
We've got 4 questions today. Yep. Lead it on, Chugs.
Starting off first with Keith. Keith, thank you very much for the question. Hey guys, loving the podcast and proud member of the Chugs Army. Well, thank you, Keith. I finally beat Last of Us Part 2 and found myself siding with Abby and not Ellie. Have you played a game where you end up siding with the main antagonist over the protagonist?
So, a surprising thing, this is about Last of Us 2, and spoiler for Last of Us 1, but I don't agree with what Joel does at the end of the first game. When you take into context the larger picture, not that his adversary is a bad guy that I prefer over him, but Joel in the end is kind of a bad guy.
Yeah.
For being selfish. Yeah. And so I couldn't think of a nemesis that I was like, yes, this person by far had the moral rights in this. But in Last of Us 1, I know for sure at the end of the game, it's a conflicting game, it's a conflicting ending, but I think Joel did the wrong thing.
That's what I love so much very quickly about The Last of Us is it really captures human emotion so well, and just The Last of Us is so much shades of gray, like where you could kind of see either side, but like you said, something that is maybe supposed to be heroic is actually kind of really, really evil. It's so interesting. The Last of Us does that so well. But for me, so again, I bring up Handsome Jack all the time. I can't help myself. He's my favorite villain for a reason.
We should make a bingo card of
I know.
Once we talk Elden Ring, Handsome Jack, Pokemon trading card.
I'm sorry. But again, in Borderlands 2, Handsome Jack just seems like this just born evil, terrible, terrible person. He has little signs of showing compassion and empathy for a few people, but generally he's just a complete maniac. But then you play Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and you see what type of guy he was leading up to what turned him into Handsome Jack. So, again, not necessarily saying I agree with everything that he did in Borderlands 2, but I understand where that hatred and where that anger comes from. So I think that's why Handsome Jack is such a fascinating antagonist.
And then also, most of the time I feel the antagonists are more fleshed out and more... I don't want to root for them, but they're more interesting characters than the protagonist most of the time.
Right.
And so, like, a lot of other games, I'm sure you're going to talk about it in the comments down below, but, like, there's a ton of games where... To bring it back to comic books, for example, Batman is one of my favorite comic book heroes of all time, but I think it's only on the fact that he has the strongest lineup of antagonists, people that you can understand, that have, that are morally gray. Other than the Joker, almost everyone has a reason why they're a bad guy, and like you can relate to it. And so there are a ton across the spectrum of video games.
For sure.
And so do let us know down below who your favorite antagonist is over your protagonist. Yes. Thank you, Keith. Great question. You, Keith. Next question is by Ryan. Ryan says, "Hey, Chugs and Uno, I love the podcast and all the news you two bring each week. My question for you is a sort of brain teaser. What video game accessory that you considered so cool as a kid might not be as relevant to you as an adult? For example, the snake light attachment for the Game Boy series was so cool to me when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, you realize it's just a light. Still nostalgic nonetheless. Thanks and love you." Ooh. Thank you very much, Ryan. Yeah. I'm gonna go on the same wavelength as you, Ryan. Game Boy had a lot of cool stuff when I was a kid. If we're going, so this was the Snake Light, I think, is on the Advance. But if you go even further, when I was a kid and I had the original Game Boy, there was a lens that you could put over top that would magnetize the screen, so it would be slightly larger, and it also had a light on it. Completely useless. It actually did not help. Like visually, it kind of distorted some of the pixels as you were looking at it, but at the time, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I could play it under my sheets. I could play it, and no one would ever know. But also, back in the day, there was a camera that you could attach to Game Boy systems. And then you could also get a printer that would print a little bit of the pictures. Something super cool and novel at the time. But nowadays, I have a cell phone that could do that at any point in time. Right. I can Bluetooth to probably any printer within 100 meters from me. So not super useful nowadays, but it was something I thought was very, very cool back in the day.
Those are great answers, and the snake light as well.
Yes.
As far as something for me, you know what? I'm going to go back to the NES. I'm going to go with the Power Glove.
Yes.
Again, I thought that was so cool as a kid. I actually have one as a part of my collection, which is awesome. Which, again, amazing collector's item. But as far as actually using it to play, it's a little bit challenging to use the Power Glove. But again, the idea of it was so cool. And I'm proud to have one in my collection.
I remember as a kid, I wanted it so bad because of the Wizard movie.
Yep.
And I thought, like, I need to get one of those. And I think I had convinced myself it ruled when I was a kid.
Right.
And then as an adult, I still have it. It's still the same one as I had as a kid. I plugged it in, trying to play with it, and it's just not something. It's not easy to play on.
No,
it's doing this. And also this at the same time, while it might seem futuristic, but it's like the worst way of doing it.
Right. and side note, shout out to Grand Pooh Bear for doing a Super Mario Bros. 3 speed run with the Power Glove.
Really? Yep. My God. Yep. I wonder what the record on that is. Does he hold that?
I think he does.
He probably does.
That was one of the first things that really got him out there as far as getting attention.
A great streamer, great YouTuber. If you're into speedruns, the man is incredible.
Yeah.
He makes great content. Next question is from Matt.
Yes, Matt, thank you very much. Hey, Chugs and Uno. Love listening to the podcast while doing my delivery job. Was just wondering if you have a favorite gaming convention you go to, or if you're looking for recommendations. I go to MagFest in Washington, D.C. in January every year, and I think you guys would love it. Concerts and gaming, and even a couple wrestling panels galore, 24-hour arcade, and console room, among other things. And for Chugs, last year there was a community orchestra concert that was opened by a Halo Trilogy medley accompanied with Halo theme writer Marty O'Donnell to provide vocals, and you can find the concert on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Keep up the great work. P.S. Uno, to reply to something you said on a podcast about a month ago, I picked up Hybrid Heaven at my last con. I know its existence.
That's right. There are two of us out there. Two of us still playing Hybrid Heaven.
Nice.
I've been to a fair amount of video game conventions. I've been to Gamescom, which is the largest one in the world, theoretically. An incredible thing that I got to participate in. AEW, when we were unveiling the AEW Fight Forever game, we got to professionally wrestle at Gamescom. And seeing Germany was incredible, meeting all the fans, getting to play games ahead of time. I got to play Pentiment before anyone else.
Nice.
I got to put time into Resident Evil at the time that hadn't come out. And so, an incredible thing. But my personal favorite, and I've some of my longest friendships are built off of this one event, is PAX East. PAX has multiple. They have PAX South, they have PAX West. They have PAX Australia, but I've only ever attended the one in Boston. It's every March, I believe, and I've attended 3 now as of yet. It is more independent focused. There are definitely the large people. I remember the first year I was there, I could have waited 4 hours to play a Capcom game, but instead, and I think it was like RE7 at the first time I was there, but it was like 2 weeks before it came out, so I was like, I'm not going to wait 4 hours. But there's a whole alleyway of mostly independent developers, and you might have like a 10-minute wait to play their independent games, but a lot of the games I ended up loving for the next 10 years were games I saw at PAX East.
That's cool.
And so every time I would come back to PAX East, my main focus was like, I need to go to this independent wing. And then it's expanded since that. If you're into board games, they have a whole section of that as well. They sell a ton of board games. There's plenty of places to try those out at these PAX things. And there's also panels. Giant Bomb has done panels. They had a wrestling event there before. You'll have panels from comic book people, from people from wrestling, from people from video games. Personally, my favorite one to go to, but I have not done all of them. In a younger year, I would have told you E3 was the biggest thing. I want to attend that so bad. And hopefully it will come back in our lifetime. Yeah. If it does, I will go. But that is my personal favorite.
So yeah, for me, seriously, it's a dream of mine to get to go to all these different gaming conventions. I have been to so few. Like not an E3, not a PAX, not a Gamescom, not a Tokyo Game Show. I would love to go to Summer Games Fest or the Game Awards. Seriously, I would love to go to these events, but I haven't had the chance to go to a bunch of them. So hopefully 2025 will be the year where I'm able to kind of go to these events. It seems like a dream.
If you're listening and you can get us invites, Just please, we'll attend everyone.
I'll go to
every single one. Yeah, everything. Yeah. Easy.
But I did attend for my 30th birthday. Halo doesn't do this anymore, but they had something called Halo Outpost Discovery.
Okay.
And it was so cool. First of all, again, it's this really big room, and there's like a museum of all this different Halo stuff, different armors, different weapons, the Flood, the Covenant. There was also this really cool thing where you did laser tag with plasma pistols, but it was VR. Which was really cool. Again, same thing. There were panels. I got the chance actually to play some Halo 5 multiplayer on stage at that event, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. So that one is probably the highlight for me, just because everyone knows how much I love Halo. But Halo Outpost Discovery was a blast.
I love gaming events. It's like
me too.
And I would like. Pro wrestling events are the same way, but like you find like-minded people.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, like I play a lot of online video games with certain people that I don't get to see often. And it's a great way to come and meet up in one city and get a 3-4 day little vacation with your friends and have your main interest amongst all of you be in one place.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah. Love it.
But a great question. Thank you to Matt. Really enjoyed that. Last question comes from Josh. Chugs and Uno, I love the podcast. Thanks for making it a highlight of my week every single week. Well, thank you, Josh. So, I love Chrono Trigger. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
But I hate Chrono Cross. I can understand that. I hope someday to have a true sequel to Trigger. But I asked, are there any series where you love the first game but hate the second or a later version of that game? Thanks for reading. # Chrono Trigger for life.
So, I do have a thought. This is actually really hard for me to come up with, because generally speaking, a lot of my favorite games in series are sequels. Sonic 2, Streets of Rage 2.
Halo 5.
Halo 5. Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
So many sequels I really enjoy. But I was really thinking about this, and I don't know if hate is the right word for me, but I will say the sequels to Dino Crisis.
I've never played them.
Loved. So the first Dino Crisis, very traditional Resident Evil survival horror style. And then 2 and 3 are pretty much action games, which is much different than the format that they did for the first one. So I enjoyed the original Dino Crisis better than the sequels. That's my answer.
So I've never played 2 and 3, but now it kind of makes me want to think. So do you think they went the Resident Evil route?
Or they just
they preceded it, I would think.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. They actually 2 and definitely 3. It almost felt like an arcade game. It was just completely different than the first one. So they did decide to go a completely different route. But OG Dino Crisis. Oh, I want to bring it back so bad, so bad.
My pick is something I actually mentioned earlier, but as a kid, I loved the Dreamcast. I owned one. I was very lucky to understand I could burn all these games, and in a lot of ways probably ruin Sega for the rest of eternity. But I had access to almost everything. I was able to replicate people's games. I was able to have access. And on top of that, I was one of the few people that had a Dreamcast. So it felt special. It felt like something that was unique to me. And it also felt special because it had a game called Shenmue, which at the time... we didn't have GTA, we didn't have games like that. They didn't have big open world games where you could just live a life. It was like The Sims, but in third-person action. And a lot of what I liked about the game is it had a time cycle. People had their own schedules. Your missions were not... there was no GPS system. If you had a mission, it would be like, you have to find Lo Meng. And you don't know who Lo Meng is, so you got to go around the city and ask every single person. And everyone's very I don't know who the hell this guy is. And so half of your days are just doing little jobs, trying to figure out who might know this person. And then it gears to do the next thing.
Revolutionary.
Yeah. It had a weather system. It had a time system. And it had a big built up world. Well, a few years ago, they announced they were making Shenmue 3. 20 years in the making. Same developer. Same head of development. I thought, this is incredible. I cannot believe Shenmue 3 is coming. And I've waited so long for this game. Almost to a point that every game after this, the Yakuza series is influenced by it. A lot of video games are influenced by what Shenmue did. Then Shenmue 3 came out. And it was terrible. It's like a game. It's weird because it was the direct sequel of 1 and 2. But it also felt like the direct sequel of 1 and 2, where it felt like it was made in the same year. And it had no upgrades while graphically it looked slightly better, it still was Polygon. It still had horrendous voice acting, which was acceptable back then. But nowadays, was like a big outlier. And on top of that, it just wasn't fleshed out in a way that you would think a Shenmue game was. It was super disappointing. And that was also one of the few games that I actually put Kickstarter money into it as well.
Oh, wow.
And so I was so invested for when it came out. And unfortunately, it was disappointing. I have thought about going back and thinking, because I've never completed it, and trying to give it its fair shake. But each time I feel like I'm going to get burned again. And then a second I read this question, I knew exactly what I was going to say. But thank you very much for that question. Appreciate it, Josh. You can send your questions to us. Go tbs.com/arcade mailbag and send us your question. Thank you very much, everyone who has listened to us. Our podcast has been rolling on almost for a year now.
Yeah.
Every Monday, you can go and listen to it to whatever your podcast platform is. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, and we're on Stitcher. We're on anywhere you can find podcasts. It comes in the morning of. But you can also watch our beautiful faces as well as some of our footage. YouTube.com/AEW Games. Go in the comment section. We have a whole community. They're discussing down there, and we try to read those every single week. Chugs? Both of us are on Twitch again.
Yes, we are.
Twitch.tv for me. I'll probably be playing The Witcher this week. That's what I played this week. What are you doing on Twitch?
Twitch.tv/TheChugs. Once again, that 5-game cycle. Going to continue some Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, The Witcher 3, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, and most importantly, we're just going to have a great time enjoying video games. So, yeah, Twitch.tv/TheChugs.
And we got big games coming out in the next month, too. Indiana Jones will be coming around. So if you're checking it out, he'll be Twitch streaming the Game Awards. I'll probably be playing that Indiana Jones at some point, so do follow us on there. And follow all of AEW Games, all social media platforms, as well as our YouTube page. That is it for this week. We will see you next Monday for another All in the Arcade. Thank you, and bye-bye.